Is this here for a reason? Do you need it?
We're going to call the meeting of the December 12th, 2019, last scheduled board meeting of the year for 11:08. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioners Gershenson? Gingell? Hoffman? Jackson? Kokendorfer?
Here.
Kowal? Kuhn?
Here.
Long? Here. Lukes? Here. Markham? Here. McGilvray?
Here.
Middleton? Here. Miller?
Here.
Nelson? Here. Powell? Here. Quarles? Here. Spiz?
Here.
Chaub?
Here.
Weipert? Here. Woodward?
Here.
Zach?
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Move us on to the invocation. I'd like to invite the Honorable Commissioner Mike Spiz to the podium, followed by the pledge.
Thank you.
Everyone, please rise.
Don't know which one to say. I'd also like to invite former Commissioner Honorable Maddie Hatchett to join me today. It'll be a joint invocation. So, you guys have all been pre-warned. All right. I did have something pre-scripted, but that's going to be thrown out the door.
Speak your heart.
I will speak my heart. I'm honored to be here today, being the last meeting of the year. 2019 has been an interesting year with the unfortunate passing of our former county executive, Brooks Patterson, to the craziness that happened afterward, to the celebration of 200th year celebration for Oakland County that's coming up next year. And then with the celebration today, that brings Maddie back with us to join us today, the 50th anniversary of these Board of Commissioners. So with that, I ask you to bow your heads, please.
Most kind and gracious Father, once again, we are gathered here. Oh God, don't let us take for granted the breath of life. We thank you, Lord, for just breathing in us and giving us the ability to serve you. Lord, thank you for the wisdom that people had 50 years ago to organize this board of commissioners. Help them now, Lord, those that are serving. Give them wisdom and give them a spirit of discernment. And Lord, stir up the most precious gift of all. Give them a gift of love. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioner Hatchett and Commissioner Spiz. We'll move us on to the communications portion of the agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any communications for the board?
We do today. We have two communications, Mr. Chair. Where they just go. And the first one is dated December 12th to the Oakland County Board of Commissioners. Ladies and gentlemen, I am hereby appointing the following individuals to the Oakland County Personnel Appeal Board for a term ending December 31st, 2020. Commissioner David Woodward, Commissioner William Miller. Your confirmation of these appointments is respectfully requested. Sincerely, David T. Woodward, Chairman, Oakland County Board of Commissioners. The second is also dated December 12th to the Oakland County Board of Commissioners. Ladies and gentlemen, please accept this letter as notification that I've exercised the authority granted under the provisions of the rules of the board in regards to a deadline for submitting grant applications in excess of $250,000. The grant application deadline for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency fiscal year 20 guidelines for brownfield assessments grant application was December 3rd, 2019. The Oakland County Department of Economic Development and Community Affairs has prepared a grant application on behalf of Oakland County in the amount of $600,000. Due to the changes in the board's grant submission process and the board calendar, it was not possible for the department to submit the application for full board consideration in accordance with our normal procedures. The application was reviewed by all appropriate county departments. I have authorized the submission of this grant application. Sincerely, David T. Woodward, Chairman, Oakland County Board of Commissioners. That is it for today.
Motion by Gary, seconded by Gingell, to accept the communications. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The communications are received. Next up, I skipped over real quickly. We need a motion to approve the minutes for the November 20th meeting, moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Gingell. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On approval of the minutes, Commissioners Gingell? Hoffman? Jackson? Kokendorfer? Kowal? Kuhn?
Here.
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
Yes.
Markham? McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Nelson? Powell? Quarles? Spiz?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Whitebert? Woodward?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson? Mr. Chair, you have 21 yeas, 0 nays.
The minutes are approved. Brings us to the approval of the agenda. Commissioner McGilvray.
I understand that prior to tonight's meeting, the Library Committee met, as well as Finance, and those two items will be added to the agenda under Rule number 3.
Suspending Rule number 3 to place those items on the agenda. That came out of committee this morning prior to this meeting. And move the agenda as printed as well. Moved by Commissioner McGilvray, seconded by Commissioner Whitebert. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the agenda, Commissioners Hoffman?
Yes.
Jackson? Kokendorfer?
Yes.
Kowal?
Yes.
Kuhn?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
Yes.
Markham? McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Nelson? Powell? Quarles? Spiz?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Whitebert?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson? Gingell? Mr. Chair, you have 21 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The agenda is approved. That brings us to the public comment portion of our meeting. There's a number of people who signed up, and so I'm going to go in the order here first. But if you didn't sign up and would like to address the board, you're more than welcome. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes. We have a nice little clock up here to help keep you on track. If the clock runs out, I'll kindly ask you to wrap up your comments so we can get through all those who want to speak and address the board this morning. So I'm going to start on this list, and again, like after I'm done with here, we'll call people from the audience if there's others that didn't sign up. First up, I'd like to invite Susan, is it Yale or Yule? Yale. Susan Yale. Welcome.
Today
Welcome.
I come before the board because, sorry,
It's okay.
my neighbors, 2 pit bulls came on my deck and killed my dog. And according to animal control, I was told I had to file in court to have her dogs removed, which I did. The judge ordered that the dogs were dangerous and to be euthanized. And she then hired an attorney that appealed it to circuit court. My neighbor was also issued a ticket at large for these dogs, which is a misdemeanor. But in circuit court yesterday, thank you, circuit court yesterday, reversed the district's court decision saying I had no right to bring the case against her for a dangerous dog. Now, I was told by animal control that it was up to me to do this, that this was not something they did. So, as of yesterday, these dogs were released and now are back out on the street again. And what upsets me is that everybody through the whole system instructed me that it was only I could do this, which if this was a case and it's state law, that it doesn't address who has to file the show cause. But I know because my daughter works for Midland County, that in Midland County, which today I've learned works differently than Oakland County, that the prosecutor handles all of this. But my problem is if the judge here in circuit court reversed a decision of a lower court that goes against the actual state law, then this attorney that goes around the state arguing to save dangerous dogs is now going to get another judgment against other people for dangerous dogs, because in Oakland County, it's up to the private citizen to get this done, or else it's not done. So I just need to know whose job this is, so someone else's dog is not also killed and the dogs to run loose. And that's all I came to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Diane Fagelman.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm here to address the $500,000 grant going to family planning. I've been a resident of Oakland County for over 45 years. And my background is I'm a registered nurse. I have been head nurse in labor and delivery, supervisor for peds, labor and delivery, postpartum, and nursery. So my love of children go way back. And I just want to be reassured that this money will never be used for killing preborn children in the womb. And that's what I want to make sure, that why I'm here today is that the money will go towards positive action for moms and their babies, and not negative. So I asked the commissioners here today to consider that none of this money will be used for abortion. Thank you.
Thank you. We asked to suspend public applause for any speaker. We want to ensure that everyone's invited to come and speak, whether you agree or disagree with the comments of individuals. So I would ask that we maintain that decorum. I'd like to invite Kathy Paul up next. Kathy passes. Next up, former Commissioner Sue Douglas. It's you. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Sue Douglas. I used to be a commissioner here for 18 years, so it's fun to come back. And I actually had something I brought back that I wanted to talk about, and that's the Arts Authority Commission that negotiates what we're going to get for our tax dollars if we pass a millage. Now, both the state law and which says that they can't participate in the governance of an art institute, and then our Articles of Incorporation, which is even more definitive, which says each member shall be a resident of Oakland County, Michigan, and may not be an employee, director, officer, or elected or appointed official, that's a lot, of the City of Detroit, the Detroit Institute of Arts, or any city, village, or township, county, or state government. And each member shall be 18 years old. Now, that sounds pretty clear, but then I found out we had two people on the governing board for the DIA who are also on the Arts Institute Authority. And I thought, how did they do this? Well, thank you, DIA, because you had the DIA was the only place I could find the service agreements, that's the only place. They put in a section 2.3 called governance, which said during the term of this agreement in this county, the authorities shall have the right to appoint 2 voting members to serve on the DIA's board of directors. And in the severability clause, which is a clause that's usually pretty boilerplate, they say, and just says if anything is in violation of the law, it doesn't wreck the whole agreement. It says, if any court, agency, commission, legislative body, or other authority of competent jurisdiction declares invalid, illegal, or unenforceable any portion of this agreement, including but not limited to Section 2.3, which I just read you as the governance section that they put in, and it goes on. They knew what they were doing. It's illegal. They tried to, and they knew that it could be taken out. And so, anyhow, I have talked with people from the DIA today. I think that's going to get corrected so that it's in line with the Articles of Incorporation. There's 2 other counties that are doing this too, and I would hope those would be adjusted also. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Douglas. Next up, I have Linda Sang. Linda Sang passes. Next up, Rebecca Kiesling. Welcome.
Hi, I'm here to address the Family Planning Services funding by the commissioners. I understand that's up today, and there's a proposed amendment, I understand, to say that the funds would not be used for abortion services. But however, I would like to see language that says that the funds would not go towards an abortion provider. Because if they're getting money to pay for a pap smear or anything else, that's still helping to fund the entire clinic. And I think it's important that we make sure that our tax dollars are not going towards something so offensive such as ending the life of a living human being. I was almost killed at 2 illegal abortions. I owe my birth to the law that protected me. My life matters, and it is absolutely repugnant to me that my tax dollars could be going to fund Planned Parenthood or any abortion clinic. And so I would ask that when you do an amendment that you make sure that there is absolutely no funding going to any abortion provider. And I know I speak on behalf of a lot of people here in Michigan. I'm from Oakland County, and where we don't want to be paying for someone else's abortion. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I have Christine Sauvé. Christine, welcome.
Good morning, Commission. Thank you. I'm the director for Welcoming Michigan. We're a project of the Michigan Immigrant Rights Center and a member of Welcoming America. And we're proud to partner with Oakland County, including all local residents and community organizations, to build a more inclusive and welcoming community for all residents who call Oakland County home. I'm here today to thank the Commission for resolution number 1938 to support the Drive Safe bills in the state legislature. If the Commission approves that resolution today, it would join Kalamazoo, Washtenaw County, Detroit, and several other school districts across the state showing their support for these state bills. So passing this resolution in support of greater access to driver's licenses is an important demonstration for communities to make. Expanding access to driver's licenses to all eligible residents improves public safety on our roads by ensuring all drivers know the rules of the road and can properly maintain their vehicle and register their vehicles and obtain auto insurance. Other communities who have increased access to driver's licenses have seen a reduction in hit and run crashes and a decline in uninsured driving. Ensuring all residents have equal access to driver's licenses helps make our communities safer overall. It also helps strengthen families and benefits our economy because driving is essential, especially in a state like Michigan, for residents who need to drive to work, to school, and to access basic life necessities, food, and medical care. Oakland County is a welcoming county and has made a commitment to ensure that all residents have the opportunity to experience equity and belonging where they live, work, and play. The resolution in support of the Drive Safe bills shows Oakland County families of all immigration statuses that we want them to be able to fully participate in our shared community life without fear. It also provides a necessary form of identification that will allow immigrant families access to basic services. It's more than just a driver's license. It's proof that a person exists and belongs in Oakland County and in the state of Michigan. So we encourage the Commission to approve the the resolution in support of the Drive Safe bills today, and we thank you for your partnership.
Thank you. Next up, I have Annette Longtime. Annette, welcome.
Hey, I'm an Oakland County resident, born and raised in Michigan. Michigan voters spoke when we passed the no tax funding for abortion. If you authorize $500,000 to go to Planned Parenthood, even if it's earmarked as not for abortion but for their other services, this simply puts $500,000 into their budget, and they can move the money from other areas over to their abortion services, which is their main service. If there's a need for a reimbursement contract, please write it for an existing federally qualified health center that does provide comprehensive health care, including primary care as well as reproductive care. Examples are Covenant Community Health, Fern Care in Ferndale, Gary Bernstein in Pontiac, and Wellness Plan Medical Center in Oak Park. I'm asking you to be a good steward of my tax money and vote no on giving the money to Planned Parenthood. Please put it where it can do more good. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we got Evelyn Van Sloten. Evelyn, welcome.
Good morning, thank you. I also would like to speak into the proposal to have family planning services promoted with funds up to $500,000. I work with an organization in Oakland County that works to provide maternal and infant care for children. And all of the funding that comes to them is done through donation. So to see that there is funding that is being proposed to give to organizations that are working potentially to prevent life is disturbing to me. And the one that we work with serves all Oakland County residents regardless of what, actually it's even outside of Oakland County, but everything that we provide, diapers, food, wipes, counseling, ultrasound, sonography, STD testing, programs that work in the schools, everything is done free of charge and has no federal or state funding. So to see that there is funding being proposed to other organizations that may take away life is very upsetting, and I would like to just state for the record that it would be that we would definitely not support any funding going to an organization like Planned Parenthood. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes everyone that was on my list. Is there anybody else that would like to come forward? If you want to come to the mic, introduce yourself, and ask the same rules apply. Keep your comments, please, to 3 minutes.
Morning, Commissioners. My name is Lori Carpentier. I'm the CEO of Planned Parenthood of Michigan. And of course, I come today to be supportive of the funding that is being considered that will replace the Title X funds that have been removed from Planned Parenthood in the state. We are one of 30 providers of federal, we were one of 30 providers of federal funded family planning. And most of those are local public health departments, but we did 70% of the work. So what is happening here is that in spite of the good work of the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services to reallocate money to other providers, as has been suggested, that has become a real challenge. So basically we're trying to shove, 10 pounds of things in a 2-pound bag, and it's not working. So what is really at stake here is not whether we're going to use the money for abortion. We don't. We have never done that. We are audited by several organizations on an annual basis to ensure that's true. And I'm always fascinated that people think we need funding for abortion. People pay for that service. So, and the only way we have ever been able to offer family planning services under this program is because of private philanthropy. So we are coming today to say We stand ready to care for the over 4,300 people that have access services in Oakland County and look forward to a partnership where you help us do that.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Ma'am? If you can state your name for the record.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Rhonda Powell. I am a resident of Southfield, a human service professional and longtime public servant. I wanted to express my support for the Drive Safe resolution that the Commission is considering and would urge support for that. For many years, I served as a director and associate director for homeless organizations, and I submit that there is a great deal of similarity in many of the issues that our immigrant populations face, along with and are shared by those that many who struggle with homelessness continue to battle with. So anytime we have the opportunity to expand what our residents can experience as, you know, and enjoy work opportunities, transportation, and I will leave you with a homeless person once shared with me. We helped them, we worked for months to get them their driver's license back. In their situation, they had a house fire and lost everything. But the same applies in that for our immigrant population, and that we know they bring so much to the community as far as economic development. Also, this person shared, he said that you not only helped me get back on my feet, but you gave me my identity back. And we can never underestimate what it means to be recognized, seen, and given the privilege of that full opportunity to be a citizen. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Commissioner Miller?
Thank you. I'm reading this letter for Stephen Gold from Huntington Woods. He was unable to be here, asked me to read this for him. To Honorable David T. Chairman Woodward, and the Honorable Board of Commissioners, my name is Stephen Gold. I'm a 30-year resident of Huntington Woods. For most of those years, I was a Macomb County employee, first as the Deputy Health Officer, then the Health Officer, and then after passage of the county charter effective January 2011, as the county first Director of Health and Community Services. In that role, I worked closely with the Deputy County Executive, Pam Lavers, and others to pursue the goals of One Macomb, the county's diversity and inclusion incentive. One Macomb work brought me into contact not only with the poor and vulnerable population traditionally served by public health agencies, but also with immigrant refugees and asylum seekers, persons who in some cases arrive in this country traumatized by their interactions with government in their homes. Leveraging county resources to welcome and serve those new Americans as one of my last major projects before I retired in 2017, and some of the most fulfilling work of my long public service career. As you may imagine, I find it personally gratifying and more than appropriate that the Oakland County's new leaders are vigorously embracing the same philosophy. Examples include welcoming county resolution, the expansion of the county's non-discrimination policy, and the recent annoyance intent to appoint a chief diversity, equity, and inclusion officer accountable for driving positive internal and external change in all these areas. For the state's most populous county, and not coincidentally, the county with the largest number of immigrants and refugees, to support Drive Safe package of the bills would be comparable with those earlier actions like them, advantageously both the society, the economy for the county and its residents. I urge you to continue on progressing in the path of doing well by doing good, which you have already begun in passing Resolution 19382 before you today. Thank you, Stephen Gold. And I ask to put this in the record.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is Ross Gavin. I work in the Treasurer's Office, and this is Natalie Neff, our Investment Administrator. So it was mentioned in the Majority Caucus that there will be a resolution being taken up today and acted upon today dealing with depositories. Treasurer's Office hasn't had the opportunity yet to see what that resolution looks like, and so we were just hoping that this could go through the normal committee process rather than the suspension of the rules. so we could have a chance to collaborate, have input on with the commission, and also just to make sure that the principles under the county investment policy, safety, liquidity, yield, are not hindered in any way. So again, thank you very much for your time. We just request that it go through the normal committee process so we can have a chance to collaborate on it with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Welcome.
Good morning, Cheryl Mitchell, your former staff person. It feels like a family reunion here today. Swelled up. So I just want to thank you and applaud you as you're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Board of Commissioners. It's been an honor and a privilege to work with so many of you. And as many of you also know, I have a great passion for empowering women and minorities in elected and appointed office. So in that vein, I wish to extend to all of you, but especially the women, to attend the Women Officials Network Breakfast. They have a networking breakfast quarterly, and the next one is tomorrow, Friday, at 7:30 a.m. In the Doyle Center in Bloomfield Hills. But if you are able to attend, please give me your name or contact the director, and you can attend as my guest. But again, thank you, and I do truly appreciate the opportunity to serve with you as a staff person here.
Well, welcome back, Cheryl. Thank you. Anybody else would like to come address the board during public comment? Okay, going once, going twice. Nope, I think she said she wasn't. Seeing none, I will declare public comment closed. Commissioner McGilvery.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to amend tonight's agenda by adding Board of Commissioners appointment to the jury board. Largo took that up immediately prior to tonight's meeting. Waive rule number 3 so that we can continue that.
Moved by Commissioner McGilvery, seconded by Commissioner Gingell. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is, the agenda is amended to reflect the action that the committee took prior to this. Okay, so we got started a little bit late, but we're going to now combine this incredible festivity that we have right now that's gathering here. So because we've got a number of people who came in from some cases long distances to be here. So I'm going to hand the gavel over to Vice Chair Gershenson. Kick this off. So, we are joined today by a lot of friends, colleagues, folks that many of us have had the opportunity to serve with, some of us who didn't have the opportunity to serve with because over the last 50 years, we've had nearly 190 commissioners serve in some capacity since the Oakland County Board of Commissioners was formed. And this really is a milestone. 50 years that this body has been coming together, working together to get things done, and today that we give recognition to the 50 years of accomplishments that have occurred. Most folks don't know the trigger that kind of changed the modern day Board of Commissioners is that we transitioned from a member of boards that represented, to a board that represented voters and not governments. As a result of the landmark U.S. Supreme Court case in Reynolds versus Sims, established the one person, one vote rule, we actually created the form of government that we have today and that we enjoy. Now, we went from a board of supervisors that shrank from 87 members to 27 districts. But before then, we had a county was governed by the city of Royal Oak being afforded 7 seats, our great area of Orion with 1 seat. How things would be different. But in all seriousness, the work that went into forming that very first board. As a body here that comes together to work together, we often hear the phrase that it's like herding cats to kind of get us all to a point of agreement, or at least to a majority position to be able to move things forward. that very first meeting required more than, according to records, required more than 4 hours, 4 recesses, 2 temporary chairpersons, 2 votes of the issue of the secret balloting, 5 candidate nominations, 3 formal withdrawals to do one thing, and that was to elect a board chair. And who says this year was controversial? But in all seriousness, we have had an honor here in Oakland County, all the residents of Oakland County, to be represented by a body elected by their respective local communities to do the people's business. And working with our with the executive office and others, we've done tremendous things together from that very first meeting to what brings us here today. And so I would like to take this moment to welcome the early board members, and I would like to welcome past commissioners Yusuf Barakat and Commissioner Henry Hoot to come forward and give some remarks about the early days, that can be shared. I had an opportunity to talk with folks before, and some of the things, the structures, the public structures that are in place today that were put in motion by the leadership long ago. So if I can welcome first Commissioner Hoot. Thank you very much for being here.
Well, I do appreciate the opportunity to return and to share with you a few of my memories. A lot of pleasant memories came to me just as I walked into this auditorium, and you know, it really hasn't changed very much through the years. It's pretty much as it was when I left a long time ago. Although I am slightly disappointed that you took my name off the side over here. I was elected to represent the citizens of Bloomfield Township and Troy, and did that for many years. And when I was here, it was in the early days of the Board of Commissioners, and we also had the privilege of transitioning to the executive kind of government, and he elected Dan Murphy, of course, as all of you know, as the first county executive. What some of you may remember, or some of you may not know, Dan Murphy was a county auditor long before he was the county executive, and he knew Oakland County extremely well, and he loved it, and he served it. So when he became the executive, he really knew what he was doing and brought a great love for the job and a love for this county. But it wasn't just Dan. Jim Brennan came along with him. Jim, as some of you may remember, was a county commissioner from the Berkeley area, and he served in many leadership and executive positions, and it was in many respects a collaborative government. We would not have been able to have done most of the things that we did if on the major issues we did not work across the aisle and have bipartisan support for most of the major things that we did. On the County Board of Commissioners, I served with people who represented specific areas, but also represented the whole county. I think particularly of Dick Wilcox, who was a champion for the northern part of the county for many, many years, and Wally Gabler, a businessman from Royal Oak, who was passionate about making sure that the south end of the county received its fair share. And we were joined, although it was mostly a Republican-controlled board, but we were joined by several Democrats who worked across the aisle, and I remember fondly and particularly Al Perinoff and Larry Pernick from the city of Southfield. And Larry, I must tell you, if you remember Larry, yes, nice to see you. Larry knew every little detail. If there was some obscure county office that frankly none of us had heard of, you know, but we had to vote on something for them, Larry was the guy who knew it, and he would explain who this person was and what they did and why they did it. It was a real joy to work with Larry, and I asked him a lot of questions that only he had the answer to. At the time I was there, we only had one countywide elected Democratic official, and that was the sheriff, Johannes Spreen. And for those of you who remember him, he was a bigger-than-life character. Looked a little bit like John Wayne. I was the chairman of the Public Protection and what we called the Judiciary Committee at that time, so it was my job to forge a working relationship with him, and we had some difficult moments, but I did that, and we worked together quite well, and I always enjoyed his visits to the committee. I will tell you one brief story. The agenda was set well in advance, as I'm sure they are today, and the sheriff's executive assistant called me and said, Sheriff wants to be on the agenda tomorrow. So, well, that's not really possible. Well, he just wants 5 minutes. He's got an idea. He wants to explain to you, and he's not looking for any action. Could you just give him 5 minutes? Well, let's put it off. No, he needs to be there. I said, all right. 5 minutes at the beginning of the meeting. So our meetings were in the afternoon at 1:30, and we all were assembled in the committee room, and the sheriff's chief deputy came in and said, the sheriff is outside. I said, well, tell him to come in. No, he's outside the building. He asks that you come outside. I said, well, are you sure? Yeah, come outside. So the committee, we all got up and we went outside, and I hadn't really recognized this. I had arrived an hour or so early. There were television cameras assembled and newspaper reporters there. And the sheriff, who, as I told you, looked a little like John Wayne, was in his full dress uniform, and came up along with 4 of his deputies riding these beautiful horses to the front of the auditorium. And he dismounted just like a Western movie, and the TV cameras were rolling, and it was quite a theatrical event. And he said, Committee Chairman Hoot, I'm here to let you know that a well-known citizen in our community has donated these wonderful horses to us. And I suggest that we have a mounted police division, and this police division can help with crowd control and children's events, and ride in parades, and be here at the county auditorium when you ask us to help to provide security for you, and will you approve this wonderful request? The TV cameras all turned around and looked at me, and I paused for about 30 seconds, probably one of the longest 30 seconds of my life. And I said, Sheriff Spreen, we will put this on our next agenda and consider it. This is adjourned for 15 minutes, and we'll meet again inside. Well, to make a long story short, the sheriff did get an experimental program with his horses, and I'm not sure exactly how that all wound up. My memory is not what it used to be, but let me say he was a wonderful and a colorful character. But I tell you that story to tell you we all enjoyed working together. We had some differences of opinion, but somehow we worked them out, because all of us on the county board then, and I suspect those of you who are here now, love this county. We know it is the leader in this region, and in some respects the leader in the state, and we hope that it will always continue this way and be a great place for people to live and work. Thank you very much.
Now, one of our longest past serving commissioners, Yusuf Barakat. Thank you.
This young priest graduated from seminary school and obtained his first parish in the boondocks of Nebraska. And he worked hard for his first sermon, and he got on the pulpit, and he looked down into the audience, and there's only one man there. So he came down, he said, "Sir, I'm new at this, and I have a good sermon, but you're the only one here. What should I do?" He said, "Well, son, I'm just an old farmer, and I don't know much, but I do know when I go out and feed the cows, and only one shows up, I feed it anyway. So thank you, sir." He got back up on the pulpit, and he sermoned, and he preached and sweat down his brow. And he came down to the audience again, and he said, "Well, sir, how'd I do?" He said, "Well, son, I'm just an old farmer, and I don't know much, but I do know that when I go out and feed the cows, and only one cow shows up, I feed it anyway, but I don't give it the whole dang bale." So I got a dang bale to give you, and I know that you are people that will understand. Joanne sent me an invitation to the 50-year celebration of the Board of Commissioners and asked me if I would speak to the audience. She suggested I speak on the transition from when the board was appointed to being elected, which gave the voters the responsibility of deciding who serves, and the achievements of the first board. In 1968 election, they were called county supervisors. In 1970, they changed to the Board of Commissioners. That's the year I was elected. In the first 2 years of the Board of Commissioners, 1971 and 72, we accomplished many things, some of which we enacted the 10-cent can deposit on soft drinks, dial tone first on all payphones, established the HMO concept, the Health Maintenance Organization. At that time, I recommended a change to the preamble of the Constitution. As it read at the time, it said life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I recommended that we add one word: life, health, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. 50 years later, we are still struggling with the idea of whether health is a right or a privilege. We built new offices and new jail for the county sheriff. We built a new animal shelter for the Humane Society. We saved Adams Woods from being completely demolished as it was transformed into a residential community condominiums. We made funeral processions safer. As vice president of the county hospital, I helped push through an addition and expansion of the hospital to accommodate elderly and indigent people. I was appointed by the governor to statewide intergovernmental advisory council and helped improve communications and coordination between various government bodies. And one of the most memorable moments during my service on the board was the introduction of the proposal to construct the Silver Dome Stadium. I was chairman of the Local and Regional Affairs Committee at the time, and I convinced my committee to vote against the stadium. And that was shocking. And the media approached me and said, "Why are you against the stadium?" I said, "Well, in ancient Rome, they used to build stadiums with taxpayer money to feed the Christians to the lions. And now you want us to build stadium to feed the lions to the Christians." I got a lot of press from the Royal Oak Tribune and the Pontiac Press, which was later changed to the Oakland Press. In their editorial, they labeled me as the bearded idealist. I was the only person elected. I still am, by the way, an idealist. I was the only person elected to public office wearing a beard. After the 1970 election, I received a letter from then U.S. Senator Hart, who wrote, "To the only candidate who had the courage to wear the beard before the election." After the election, he grew a beard, and for the rest of his term. There's no question that I was ahead of my time. Another demonstration of that was when I was asked to give an invocation at the beginning of a session of the board, and I read a poem about the scourge of war. So much for the past. Now about the future. I told Joanne that anytime I do public speaking, I always like to end with a positive note about hope of the future. What I want to share with you today is to jiggle your mind and put you out of your comfort zone. What made America great was founded on the motto, E pluribus unum, of many, one. There's no question that we are now a divided nation. What I want to share with you is not about politics, political party, or specific topics. What I want to do is to challenge you with some mental gymnastics. We're all second-hand people. Everything we know comes to us from somebody else. We believe it so much that we are willing to kill and die for that belief. That's based on the concept that might makes right. Well, I ask you, if Hitler won the war, would he have been right? Here's a mental gymnastic. Imagine you were born an identical twin, and at the time of your birth, your twin was taken to China, and you come together now for the first time. Here's your identical twin face to face. What do you see? Who's right and who's wrong? And what would have happened if you were the one taken to China? So what I'm telling you is that we are taught by our culture certain values and beliefs, and that we need to think about that we are all one people. It was my opinion 50 years ago, and it still is now, today, that wars solve nothing, cost a lot of money, and destroy people and nature. I want to impress on you that we are all one humanity inhabiting this fragile earth, that we are abusing this earth. We are all different as we are all the same, both in this country and around the world. And I want to end with a Native American prayer. Teach your children that the earth is our mother. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the sons and daughters of the earth. This we know, the earth does not belong to us. We belong to the earth. This we know, that all things are connected, like the lifeblood which unites one family. All things are connected. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the sons and daughters of the earth. We did not weave the web of life. We are merely a strand in it. Whatever we do to the earth, we do to ourselves.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you for that beautiful prayer. Now I'd like to call up a former commissioner who now serves Oakland County as our county executive, our fourth county executive here in Oakland County, the Honorable County Executive Dave Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It says in the program keynote address, but because of the fact that we're in the middle of a meeting now, I threw out the notes. I will keep this brief, and I'll just speak from my heart and my experience, because I am the only county executive who had previously served as a county commissioner. And Commissioner Weipert, I sat right there for 8 years and enjoyed every day of my tenure here on the commission. It's so good to see so many of my friends here and predecessors here. I see my chairman, Bill Bullard, in the back, who did an outstanding job of navigating the cats, as David would say, and I learned so much from him, as well as my predecessor, Brooks Patterson. The experience that I gained here on this valuable board, has served me well to this day. I served on the Finance Committee, so if nothing else, the notion of a 3-year balanced budget has been burned into my brain and will always be with me. So, but I learned more than that. I learned that this is a place where good people really can come together. Unlike Washington and now Lansing even more and more, most of the stuff that we did here was in a bipartisan fashion. Especially the most important thing that we did here, which is to pass the budget, which is now approaching nearly $1 billion. It's a huge responsibility. We all took that as our most important responsibility when I was here. And I was really proud of the fact that even though we would fight over different aspects of it and we would have our disagreements in the Finance Committee and in other committees, when we came back together in this room at the end of September to pass the budget, we always did it unanimously because it sent a sign, I think, to our residents and to everyone who was watching us that when it came to the big things, we could do it together, which is why I am so fortunate and happy that we did that again this year in my role here. It meant a lot to me, and I think it means a lot to our residents that we can do those sort of things together. Another thing that I learned from Brooks was the value of surrounding yourself with good people, and I think I've tried to do that. I hope that you see that we've assembled a team of deputies that really reflect the talent that exists in this county, and I'm privileged to serve with them. I served with many of you all as well, and it is so great to see you. This I would not have missed this for the world, but what made it really special is hearing one more time Maddie Hatchett get up to the microphone in that booming Maddie Hatchett voice, because I sat here many meetings and listened to Maddie, and I just said, whoa, I'd hate to be the speaker that follows her, because once Maddie was done, there was little left to be said. So Maddie, it is so good to see you and to hear you once again. I'm also reminded, I have to say, and this just hit me when I came in a little while ago, but the members of this board that aren't with us anymore, and I served with 3 members that are no longer here. Commissioner Jeff Potter, who I just loved and respected, Bill Patterson, and his famous phrase that he always brought up, which is, we could disagree without being disagreeable. And we tried for the most part to follow his advice. And when we didn't, he would remind us. And I really miss Bill to this day. And my friend George Suarez, who also represented the Madison Heights area, who's no longer with us. I didn't realize till I looked at the back of the program how many commissioners had really served in this capacity. And it's kind of an honor to be the first commissioner to go to the level of executive. I hope I won't be the last one. I hope some of this could be in your future as well. But I want to say that my experience here was a really positive one, and because I have so much respect for this institution, I want you to know that that continues in my role here, and I really respect the work you have to do. It's a little different than the work I do, but I think if we work together, both doing our constitutional duties, that we will do right by Oakland County, because this is a great model of government, and it works for the people of Oakland County. So I'm proud to be able to lead this county, and I'm proud to be able to work with so many of you again, and for the new ones as well. So thank you very much for giving me a few minutes to address you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive. If I can welcome up my colleague, Commissioner Ginjo, say a couple remarks and kick off these.
All right, well, good morning. I know that we've kept many of you for the committee meetings and all the issues we were addressing before, but if I were to just make a couple comments looking around, the thing that amazes me, out of 1.3 million people and all those that have existed in Oakland County, even though there's a lot of names on the back of this brochure, when you start putting it in contrast to all the people that have lived in Oakland County, this list is pretty small. And it's small because this role is about leadership, it's about civil service, it's about doing onto others and helping them. And so as a commissioner that has come after many of you, I just want to say thank you for setting the standard for me and for this board. And when I look at the names, the other interesting thing I think of is the names here aren't people that necessarily came and went. They came and stayed. and many of you have been mentors to me. I see lots of you here. Bill Bullard, Doc Cadell, Eric Coleman, of course, Dave Coulter and I have had a good relationship, Kathy and Hugh Crawford, Nancy Dingleday, Matt Danaskis, Vince Gregory, Tim Greimel, Brad Jacobson, Greg Jamian, Ruth Johnson, Marty Nolenberg. Do these names sound familiar to you? They didn't. Fran Amos. Hi, Fran. Matty Hatchett, of course, Tom Law, Jeff Mattis, who's a judge now, John McCullough, Dave Moffett. I'm missing people I know, but Chuck Moss, Larry Obrecht, Niles Olson, who I believe was on the first Board of Supervisors. He's my uncle. And I know Gwen's dad is the initial county executive that you mentioned. So the interesting thing to me, again, Roy Rewalt, Pete Webster, Eric Wilson, there's a lot of others. The point I'm trying to make is these are individuals that, quite frankly, I still interact with, and I still get counsel from. And I'd like to say I have the privilege of having Larry Obrick living in my district, and for anybody that served with Larry, you know he never hesitates to call, and I wasn't sure what my first name was for the longest time, because every time he answered the phone, he started out with a word that wasn't my first name. So, but the point is, thank you for your service, and thank you for not coming and going. Thank you for coming and staying and continuing to craft and mold all of us that are here today, because without your foundational and institutional service, we wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't be sitting in this room. We wouldn't be the form of government that we are today. So I want to take the time to recognize all of you that I still interact with, and yes, you, Maddie, my good friend from Pontiac, that we still talk, to say, keep it up, keep working with us, because while we have done great things together as a commission, it's a time of transition, right? And I'll be honest, it hasn't been easy. And we're at a point where we need to continue to work together so that we don't end up like Lansing and Washington and others. But it's not a given on the state of affairs today. So we need your help. Continue to counsel and mentor us. Continue to stay involved. Dave Potts, I see you out there, and Tom Berman too. All of you. Continue, in Jim Nash. Man, you just keep showing up here more and more. Sorry if I've missed people, but stay involved. And thank you for your service. We're going to recognize the chairmen that are here today, the chair people, and then everyone else that's here. We also have a proclamation for you. So Dave, how do you want to handle this?
Can we bring the past chairmen up?
Okay, if I see Tom Law, Bill Bullard, any other past chair people? Well, on behalf of the board and Chairman Woodward and myself, I think I just want to take a moment to say, until you actually try to run the circus and herd the cats, you don't necessarily have an appreciation for the two of you staying up here and standing here today. It's not easy being the chairperson of this board, and it's not easy trying to get to consensus and to move things forward in an organized way. And we want to recognize the two of you as past chairmen of the board. Say thank you again for your leadership and service. And any other comments?
Well, yeah, I mean, these two and all the past leadership of the board has, helped build this institution into something that's been great. And I think Commissioner Gingell raised the issue is that we've had commissioners come and go on to higher office. Some come back. And it really is some of the most talented groups of individuals across the state that I've had a privilege to work with, but also the history of that's captured in this room right now. It's great to be part of this institution and to continue the work moving forward. So, thank you, John.
We also want to recognize a former chairman that's not here today, but I believe his family is here. So we want to do this uniquely. If the family of Larry Pernick is here, you come on up. Welcome. All right. Well, Nat, on behalf of I believe it would be your
My father.
father, your father, Larry. We want to recognize him and provide you with this proclamation. You know, I got to learn a lot about him as I become more familiar with the Pernick Conference Room and all the things that come along with it. While I've enjoyed my time there, I'm looking forward to bigger and other things. But it's an honor for me to be able to help provide this proclamation to you on behalf of Chairman Woodward, the entire board, for your father's service, and an opportunity to recognize him and say to your family, thank you for giving of him. It's not always easy. It does take a family that understands, I've got to be at a meeting, I'm going to be gone, I can't get to this or that, and I'm sure you experienced a lot of that, so I hope today you have some vindication in recognizing that the people appreciated your sacrifice too.
Thank you very much.
Sure, we'll go up front and you guys. You doing all right?
Yeah, if our former chairman's can stay up here, and we're going to be distributing, we're going to be presenting to everybody. Yeah, we're asking like the picture there. We have a certificate for all the former commissioners that are able to join us here today. And so I'm just going to call folks up. I think it's in alphabetical order or close to it. But if not, I apologize. Former Commissioner Fran Amos. You want to? Hey, Chris. We've heard from Yusuf Barakat. Not a lot's changed in 50 years. We have David Buckley. David here yet? And to leave. Of course, County Executive Dave Coulter. I believe also served with Commissioner Nancy Dingleday. Congratulations. Commissioner Sue Ann Douglas, who she and I had the most spirited conversations on this board. Come on up, Sue. Commissioner and Judge Michelle Friedman Apple is in the house. Commissioner Tom Berman. Among the best dressed commissioners we've ever had. Water Resource Commissioner and former Commissioner Jim Nash. I also have Commissioner John Garfield. I didn't see John. You had to leave. Commissioner Maddie McKinney-Hatchett. Mama Bear. And we heard in from Commissioner Hoots. Former Commissioner Greg Jamian, Road Commissioner Greg Jamian. Former Commissioner Jeff Kingsetz. Commissioner Susan Kuhn. Welcome. Commissioner Richard Kuhn, Jr. Judge, yes. And Judge Kuhn. Yeah. The powerhouse group. Commissioner Tom Luan. Time after. First, have you had to leave? Commissioner and Judge Jeff Mattis. Former Commissioner Rule McPherson, a legend. Commissioner David Moffett is in the house. America's favorite dog catcher, Commissioner Larry Albrecht. Commissioner David Potts. My friend. It's good to see you, my friend. Commissioner Mike Rogers, is he here? Let's see him here. Commissioner Rudy Serra. I saw Rudy. Commissioner Karen Spector. Moving around there. I think that's, are there any other commissioners that are here that I didn't call? This is a snapshot over the years of the men and women that have represented this great county on this board, and we all face those who are serving today. We're here today because of the great leadership of all of you combined and together keeping making Oakland County a great place. So everyone, a round of applause for the leadership of Oakland County. How do you want to do this? Okay. And do we want all these commissioners too? Do we want all these commissioners too? Okay. All right.
I'm doing great, Greg. You still hanging in there?
I
Oh, good. You too. I hope good. Way back oh, I am. I've been off that fight. So the judge made a decision yesterday that will help. So I'm glad.
You're a little tall. I said, okay, we'll go ask. We haven't asked. I get it. I see my client going through South Line on a horsepower carriage. He got one year. Mom made him. And I'm like, and then the mother called me. We went to court. The judge said no. And then the mom goes, well, you said yes. He said, and I said, don't you give me that. We went to court, and the judge said, then your mother made you get married anyway. The new mother.
I know. Law, right? All right, let me get it.
I was with Dan Baghdad. He said, say hi.
Oh.
What did I tell you about?
my best. Huh?
Come up here for all the shorties. I won't read anything. Oh, yeah. Hey, Dave, you can sell this.
see you.
When are you coming back? How's Greg doing?
Very well spoken.
Good.
Thank you for your words.
How's everything with you? Can't complain. It
Yeah.
wouldn't do any good, you
Yeah,
know. You
good,
just keep
good.
plugging away.
Well, maybe over the holiday or something, if you're out and about,
Yeah.
come by, we'll grab coffee
All
or
right,
something.
so- sounds
talk
good.
about some stuff
Yeah.
going on. I always love seeing you. And
Yeah, well, I'll do that. I just drove by the other day here and thought about you.
yeah,
So,
I'm always there, so.
all right.
Okay?
All right.
If I'm not at the road commission.
Yeah.
If you need anything from the road commission, let me know.
Hi. I'm good, thanks. How are you? I know I'm traveling a lot. I am. We never served together. No. So where is your I was Pigo, Sylvan, Pico, Waterford. I had 5 communities. So the 3 small guys and then pieces of. You would have been like north of Shelley Taub or something. Yeah, just kind of like northwest. West of her, yeah. Yeah, really more west. Yeah, no, I know where. Yeah. Hey, how are you? Nice to see you. Well, I had the monitor on. I said, who are all those old coots? My hands back on. Yeah, no, I'm still there.
I know I've had some birthdays.
That was a strange district.
I felt bad about George. Yeah. You know, I think they put in. They haven't. Oh, April. That's what Boy's doing. Yeah. Are you gonna run again?
Not this, no. I'm focused on a new business venture. I keep me too busy.
Are you? So then I see in the program that MD.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even see that.
Good to see you too. Like I said, I gotta go see Roel McPherson. I haven't seen him in years. Yeah.
Let me just ask him. I really want to. I want to tell you why.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I was going to get a pen. Give
How
Cheryl.
are you?
Hi, Julia. How are you? Cheryl Lee.
Yeah, she's gone.
Nice to see you too.
Who's that? Bernard.
Oh, Bernard Berman. I don't know.
Oh, that's what I'm asking. It's
Yeah,
not your
no,
dad.
no.
Oh, no.
Right.
I said, what the hell is going on? Yeah,
First time I've seen that.
These programs are out.
Yeah, I'm going to go grab one and take it with this.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, our former commissioners, for joining. We are going to continue on with the agenda. I'm going to try to move through as quickly and efficiently as possible. So if commissioners can come to their desks, I'm going to, in 10 seconds, ask the clerk to call the roll
Calling roll.
to assure that we have quorum.
Are you ready for me to do it? Want me to do it?
Madam Clerk, please call the roll
All right.
to
Commissioners,
reestablish quorum.
Commissioners Jackson? Thank you. Kokendorfer? Ooh.
I think a lot of
Kokendorfer
people
not
left.
here?
I think they left. Which is bad.
Kowal?
She's here. Eileen's here. Eileen.
Eileen? Commissioner
Stay here.
Kowal? Thank you. Kuhn?
Here.
Long?
Here.
Lubes? Lubes? No Lubes? Markham? McGilvray?
Here.
Middleton?
Here.
Miller? Nelson? Powell? Quarles? Spiz? Taub? Here. Wipert? Here. Woodward?
Here.
Zach? 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 Here. Gershenson? Gingell?
He had to leave too.
He left? Okay, Hoffman?
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Quorum has been established. Some commissioners still trying to sit down so we can move on. We do have refreshments and other things outside the auditorium, and I encourage commissioners and visitors to take advantage of those while we commence with the business of the meeting. We're on the consent agenda portion, we're at reports of standing committees. At the consent agenda portion, is there a motion moved by Commissioner Nelson, seconded by Commissioner Hoffman to approve the consent agenda? Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the consent agenda, Commissioners oh, no, he left, sorry. Now I gotta figure that one out. Okay. Kowal? Yes. Kuhn?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes? Yes. Markham? McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton? Miller? He's not here. Okay. Nelson? Powell? Consent agenda. Miller on the consent agenda? Thank you. Where am I? Quarles? Thank you. Spiz? Left. Shoot. Oh my God. Taub?
Here.
On the consent agenda?
Oh, yes, sorry.
That's okay. Wipert? Woodward?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson? Yes. Hoffman? Yes. Jackson? Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The consent agenda is adopted. It moves us on to the regular agenda. There are no items under economic growth and infrastructure. Brings us to finance. I'd like to invite the finance chair, Commissioner Helene Zach, to the podium.
Okay, I want to move the Department of Management and Budget fiscal year 2019 year-end report and budget amendments.
You want to move the report? Right, no. Yeah. So Commissioner Zach moves the report, seconded by Commissioner Lubes. All in favor of accepting the report, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The report is accepted. Commissioner Zach moves Department of Management and Budget fiscal year 2019 year-end report and budget amendments, seconded by Commissioner McGilvray. Any discussion? Commissioner Hoffman.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to add an amendment. Insert the following language after the following. Whereas in order to protect women's health, safety, and well-being, a fiscal year 2020 budget amendment is recommended that Oakland County Health Division initiate a reimbursement contract for family planning services not to exceed $500,000 to address gaps in these services to Oakland County residents, while a comprehensive integration model with a federally qualified health center is being implemented in OCHD North and South clinics to provide primary care, reproductive health, including family planning services and behavioral health services. And this, I'd like to add the following. Consistent with past practices of the Oakland County Health Department through Planned Parenthood, which is limited to family planning services defined by Title X and excludes funding for any abortion services.
Moved by Commissioner Hoffman, seconded by Commissioner Middleton. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, nay.
The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. That brings us to the main motion that's before us. Any discussion on the full resolution?
Please.
You would like to request a roll call?
Yes, please.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the amendment.
On the amendment,
Back on the amendment, yes.
on the amendment, on the Hoffman amendment, Commissioners Kowal?
No.
Kuhn?
No.
Long?
No.
Lubes?
Yes.
Markham? McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton? Miller?
Yes.
Nelson? Powell? Quarles? Taub?
No.
Whitebert? Woodward?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson?
Yes.
Hoffman?
Yes.
Jackson? Mr. Chair, you have 13 yeas, 5 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted. It brings us back to the original motion. Is there any further discussion on the original motion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioners Kuhn?
No.
Long?
No.
Lubes?
Yes.
Markham? McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
No.
Miller?
Yes.
Nelson? Powell? Quarles? Taub?
No.
Whitebert? Woodward?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson?
Yes.
Hoffman? Jackson? Kowal? Mr. Chair, you have 12 yeas, 6 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted. Moves us on to the next item, Commissioner Zach.
I have a resolution establishment of the bicentennial oak tree program policy. I move it.
Is there a report or just the resolution?
There was a resolution taken up in
Okay.
finance this morning.
Moved by, the resolution moved by Commissioner Zach, seconded by Commissioner Markham. Any discussion? Commissioner Middleton.
Yes. The purchase of those trees may be presented to a board that I sit on. I'm an associate member of that board. And even though I don't have a vote, just to be safe, I'm going to excuse myself for a possible conflict of interest.
Duly noted. Thank you, Commissioner. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioners Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
Yes.
Markham? McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton. Miller?
Yes.
Nelson? Powell? Quarles? Taub?
Yes.
Whitebert? Woodward?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson? Hoffman? Jackson? Kowal? Kuhn?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 17 yeas.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted. Thank you.
That concludes the report of Finance Committee.
Thank you, Commissioner Zach. Next up, we have Healthy Communities and Environment Committee. I'm going to invite up Commissioner Penny Lubes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are 2 items under the Healthy Community Report today. The first is the resolution acknowledging a climate emergency and creating an energy and environment infrastructure plan in Oakland County. This resolution creates an energy and an environment plan as a response to climate events. Climate change or extreme weather affect our food and water, specifically toxic algae blooms and invasive species that impact our water supply. The The plan looks at low-impact renewable energy sources and supports a county-community endeavor to reduce the environmental impact through the use of electric vehicles and water and energy conservation.
So first, Commissioner Lube, seconded by Commissioner Nelson, moves the report. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The report is accepted. It brings us on to the main resolution, moved by Commissioner Nelson, seconded by Commissioner Lubes, to move the resolution. Any discussion? Commissioner Nelson.
So there is a grammatical error that
Okay.
Mr. Chair, we cannot hear over here, please.
Is your mic on?
there is a grammatical error in the very first further be resolved, and it's just striking out the word and.
So just strike the word "and" in that.
Strike the word "and" in the first be it further resolved on the resolution.
Have we got a copy?
So there is an amendment on the desks of all
Okay.
commissioners
That's what I'm about to ask. Has it been,
explains.
Has it been printed and distributed? And it's just really striking the one word.
It's just striking out the word "and." Yes.
Okay. So Commissioner Nelson moves this amendment, seconded by Commissioner Miller. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The amendment is adopted.
Thank you.
Brings us to the main motion of adopting the resolution. Any discussion on the resolution? Commissioner Hoffman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to add an amendment, amending the following language by inserting, "Be it further resolved that the development of the energy environmental infrastructure plan will come at no cost to the county."
Do you have that?
I think it's.
I thought everybody got
Has
it.
it been distributed? I don't have one up here. Has it been distributed? You did get, okay, so it's on. Okay, so the resolution that Commissioner Hoffman just read, moved by Commissioner Hoffman, seconded by Commissioner Long. Any discussion on the amendment? Commissioner Markham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure I understand what the intention of this is. By saying it's not going to cost us any money, does that mean we can't have any staff assigned to it? We can't, talk about it in meetings that we're being paid to attend? I think it's really vague in the wording, so I don't understand what the intention is of this amendment.
Okay. Commissioner Taub.
I think there's been some discussion. First of all, we don't get paid to go to meetings except mileage if there are extra meetings. But I think the discussion was had in committee or brought up that we already have a very comprehensive plan and that perhaps we ought to listen to what Art Holdsworth has to say about what he has been doing since we built that green airport eons ago and to keep this county green. So I think that's what this is speaking to, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Taub. Any further discussion on the amendment? Commissioner Markham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just say that the intention of this committee is not to do anything wild and crazy. Basically, we want to build on what's already been done, understand what's already been done, and move forward on that. And the intention would be that all of these actions would not only be hopefully good for the environment, but also economically to our advantage. The less money we spend on energy saves the county money, and so on. So that's philosophically where we see this action going. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Nelson.
Mr. Chair, I would just like to say that first, this resolution is to acknowledge that there is a problem. What we do and what we would like to do with it is demonstrated on that last page under those bullet points of the creation of a task force. But I just want to remind everyone, this resolution being put forth today is just to acknowledge that climate change threatens our county, our state, our region, and quite frankly, our nation. So the idea is to bring awareness to this as a concern, and what we do with it The sky, you know, is the limit in regards to it. The first and foremost thing is to address it as a concern and a problem. And I strongly oppose my colleagues to not support the amendment that is currently on the floor. Thank you.
Commissioner Taub for a second actually, Commissioner Middleton first, and then Commissioner Taub for a second.
Yes, but the resolution reads, Board of Commissioners resolution acknowledging the climate emergency, not a problem, an emergency. That's a whole different level of concern than when you're talking about just being a problem.
Commissioner Taub for a second time.
Thank you. I think it would be, if we want to know and want to gather information, that's perfectly fine, okay? And it's not going to cost us any money other than our time and our staff time. So if you'd like to have unanimous votes on this, please, I'm urging you to adopt this amendment. If not, you won't have votes on it.
If let me address this. I can't support this for the very reason. I think we've talked about investing staff time resources. Staff time is paid with taxpayer dollars. This is a worthy cause to invest in, to not only pull together a plan, and I do believe that we as a community, as a county, as a state and nation, need to do more a lot faster to address the climate emergency that's facing this planet. So I can't support the resolution at this time. I mean the amendment at this time. Any further discussion on the resolution? Seeing none. Commissioner Taub for a third time.
Yes, after you vote, Mr. Chairman, on the amendment, I would like to add another amendment, if I may. But I'm going to need someone from the staff to type it up.
All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Nay. The nays have it. The amendment fails. Commissioner Taub, would you like us to recess and come back, or is it a very...
Well, I'll tell you what the amendment is. If you want to have it written out, I'd be happy to have it written out.
Okay, you want... Commissioner Taub, can you read what the amendment is?
So my amendment will read as such. Now therefore be it therefore resolved that when the plan is put forth, a fiscal note shall be included.
I'm going to rule that amendment out of order. All fiscal impact is incorporated in the resolutions when resolutions are brought forth.
I'm sorry, say what?
Per our board rules, all fiscal impact is included in the resolutions that come before this full board.
So there will be a fiscal note attached.
The fiscal impact is included in the resolution. It's not a separate fiscal note. It's not a separate piece of paper.
So it will be included. Okay, so
every time we spend money on this board, we include it in
Perfect. So this resolution has no fiscal note with it, so it won't cost anything.
This resolution does not appropriate any money. Correct.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much, Mr.
All right.
Chair.
Good. All right. Good. Seeing it, no further discussion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. No, she's not.
Okay, so on the resolution, Commissioners Lubes.
Yes.
Markham. Yes. McGilvray.
Yes.
Middleton.
No.
Miller. Yes. Nelson.
Yes.
Powell. Quarles. Taub.
No.
Whitebird. Woodward.
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Gershenson.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Jackson. Yes. Kowal. Kuhn.
No.
Long.
No.
Mr. Chair, you have 13 yeas, 5 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted. Commissioner Lubes.
The second item is the amendment for the Parks and Recreation approval of declaration of charitable donation to the Holly Oaks Off-Road Vehicle ORV Park. Magna Powertrain of America has proposed a sponsorship in the amount of $70,000 for the ORV park. We spoke about this in committee, and it has support of staff, and we thought it is a great idea to accept their donation, AKA sponsorship, and they will build a mountain that will be named the Magna Mountain.
Moved by Commissioner Lube, second by Commissioner Hoffman. Any discussion? Commissioner Taub.
I thought in, sorry about that. I thought in committee we discussed that they were going to pay for the building of the mountain, not a sponsorship. There's a,
It was, in committee, we talked about it as a donation, and the
Right.
word donation is changed to sponsorship.
what, I don't understand what the difference is.
Commissioner Long? Okay.
It came from the sponsorship or donation, because of the amount of money, they just changed it to sponsorship, whether it was for their tax purposes or not, but in parks, we did not care. It was just a changing of a sponsorship, donation to sponsorship word, but they're still given $70,000.
Well, can
And
I
this-
ask for?
This resolution comes with support of Parks and Rec and has gone through committee with majority support. Commissioner Taub for a second time.
Is there something statutorily different? I'm going to ask Corp Counsel between sponsorship and donation. I don't understand the difference. I mean, I know what the difference is, but I don't understand what that's all about.
If we are going to receive money into Oakland County to be spent on things, this board has to approve and accept it.
Right, but the wording has been changed from donation, okay, in which case we were accepting a very large and generous donation from this company, to a sponsorship. And I don't know if there's a difference legally.
I don't know if I have the answer for that.
Joanne?
Chairman, I think we discussed this, and Gary was there too. I don't think it has any impact on the county or the parks at all. It's just the way this company will put it off on their taxes, which has no concern of ours, how they put it. Is it charity, is it a donation? It's just how they file their taxes. I think that was the conversation in parks, correct, Gary?
Yep.
Thank you,
Okay.
Commissioner Long. This is us just receiving the money, and this is what we're going to do with it. Any further discussion?
Yes, but
Commissioner Taub.
we accept money for donations, okay? I'm gonna donate, I'm gonna write a check for $10, okay, to the animal shelter. I've never heard us accept anything on a sponsorship. I understand what you're telling me, I get it, it's the same dollar amount, but I don't know if that's in our board rules or not, I have no clue. Because I don't know what a sponsorship means versus.
Commissioner, there's no distinguishing wording about the difference between donations and sponsors. What we do have to do is if we're going to accept any dollars, we have to approve it, and that's what this resolution does. Commissioner Long for.
Also then, Commissioner Taub, if it will help ease your mind, we are developing a sponsorship policy at the Parks Commission as we speak, so.
And that policy
There
will
will
come
be-
before the full board.
Yes.
But I think we need to adopt something or throw that into our, because there's no such thing in our board rules that I know of called a sponsorship. And I certainly hope the Corporation Council can say that, I mean.
Okay.
Or,
I think
Can
we've
I
talked
ask?
this item to death. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the resolution, Commissioners Markham? Yes. McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Powell? Quarles? Taub?
no,
Whitebert? Woodward?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson? Hoffman? Jackson? Kowal?
Yes.
Kuhn?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 17 yeas, 1 nay.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no further report.
Thank you, Commissioner Lubes. It moves us on to Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee. The Honorable Nancy Quarles is invited to the podium. What amendment? So, okay, so did we vote on the amendment? So that was a motion on the amendment to switch it from sponsorship to donation. Okay, so, all right, so the last item, that was a motion to amend it from donation to sponsorship. Now we need to adopt the full resolution. So it's moved by Commissioner Lubes, seconded by Commissioner Hoffman. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the full resolution as amended.
On the resolution as amended, Commissioners McGilvray,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Nelson, Powell, Quarles, Taub,
No.
Whitebert, Woodward,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson, Hoffman,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Kowal,
Yes.
Kuhn,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Lubes,
Yes.
Markham. Mr. Chair, you have 17 yeas, 1 nay.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The resolution to approve the declaration of charitable sponsorship to the Holly Oaks Off-Road Vehicle Park is adopted as amended. All right, now Commissioner Quarles. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first
I got an amendment to this. To drive
First
safe,
resolution that I have is the Board of Commissioners support for Drive Safe package of bills, Michigan Senate Bills 631 and 632, and House Bills 5192 and 5193. I do have a report, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner, we're going to take a brief 5-minute recess.
What happened?
Exactly.
You want everybody back?
Rectify the mistake of the appointment.
We're going to call the meeting back to order. All right. Commissioner Quarles, if you can come up back to the podium.
Right, I think I have to call roll again.
Heard them cats.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the quorum again?
Yes, let's see. Hopefully everybody's here. Commissioners Middleton?
Here.
Thank you.
Where'd that come from?
Miller?
Here.
Nelson? Powell? Quarles? Taub?
Here.
Wypert? Woodward?
Wipers, that's all.
Woodward?
Here.
Zach?
Here.
Gershenson? Hoffman? Jackson? Kowal? Kuhn?
Here.
Thank you. Long? Here. Lubes? Here. Markham?
Cool.
Markham? Yes, sorry. Kowal? Kowal? Here. For doing attendance, thank you. McGilvray?
Here.
Okay, you have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank
Wypert
you,
is not
Madam
back,
Clerk. All right.
Oh,
Commissioner
Wypert,
Quarles.
thank you.
And Wypert's here as well.
Thank you, yep, got him.
Commissioner Quarles.
18, right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first resolution, my first report is miscellaneous resolution 19382, the Board of Commissioners support for Drive Safe package of bills, Michigan Senate Bills 631 and 632, and House Bill 5192 and 5193. I move the report, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Quarles moves the report, seconded by Commissioner Miller to accept the report. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say nay. The report is accepted. Motion by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Quarles to support the Drive Safe package of bills, Senate Bills 631, 632, and House Bills 5192 and 5193. Any discussion? Commissioner Middleton.
Yes, I have an amendment to that resolution. It's been handed out. The amendment says from Commissioner Spiz, but he had to leave. So I am introducing the resolution, and as the whereas, strike the word undocumented, and then the resolution would read, immigrants have the same hopes, fears, and dreams of every other member of our community. And then the whereas, Drive Safe, safe access, freedom of and economy package of bills applies in Michigan residents who meet the definition of having a residency in Michigan, including those in strikeout, may have not be able to and can prove their lawful presence and. That's my amendment.
Moved by Commissioner Middleton, seconded by Commissioner Kowal. The amendment has been distributed. It says Spiz is being offered by Commissioner Middleton. Any discussion on the amendment? Commissioner Miller.
I oppose this amendment. This goes against everything that our county is going for, striving for, as well as this is something that is not unknown to Michigan. Before 2008, this was enacting, and we had no issues with what we're putting forward right now. So, in the change in 2008 is what changed everything. So, this is not I'm just saying I'm not going to vote for this.
Any other discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay.
Nay.
The amendment fails.
Mr. Chair, I request a vote.
Commissioner
voice
Taub,
vote.
would you like to
Yes.
request a record
Roll
roll call
call.
vote on the
Yes,
amendment? Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the amendment.
On the Middleton amendment, Commissioners Miller,
No.
Nelson. Powell. Quarles. Taub. Wypert. Woodward.
Yes. I mean, assume no.
Zach. Gershenson. Hoffman. Jackson.
No.
Kowal.
Yes.
Kuhn.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
Lubes.
No.
Markham. No. McGilvray.
No.
Middleton.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 7 yeas, 11 nays.
Not a sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the amendment fails. Brings us to the main motion before us in support. Any discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Just 1 second.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Commissioner Miller.
Apologize for that. Chair, just to say, this is to support what our fellow colleagues are doing up in Lansing to keep our roads safe. We want people to be trained. We all go through training in our license and to have insurance. So voting against this is voting, you are voting for unsafe roads, for driving unsafely.
No, I
Thank you.
disagree.
Thank you. Commissioner Long.
Well, just because we're so long, I'm going to be very brief. I disagree. I think we're just saying they need to be documented. I want documented people being able to drive, not undocumented people getting driver's license. So it's nothing to do with drive safe. It's the documentation.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the resolution, Commissioners Nelson. Powell. Quarles.
Yes.
Taub.
No.
Wypert. Woodward.
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Gershenson. Hoffman. Jackson. Kowal.
No.
Kuhn.
No.
Long.
No.
Lubes. Markham. McGilvray.
Yes.
Middleton. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 11 yeas, 7 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted. Commissioner Quarles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The second resolution, the Board of Commissioners support neutrality agreements and card check recognition at Oakland County. I do have a report, Mr. Chair. I move
Commissioner
report.
Quarles moves the report, seconded by Commissioner Miller. All in favor of the report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The report is adopted. Moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Quarles, to adopt the resolution as presented before us. Any discussion? Commissioner Hoffman.
I'd like to speak against this just from the standpoint that this does not allow for secret ballot. And it's, by the passing out of these cards, it's 50% plus 1 vote. It seems like all the rank and file should be able to vote on something like this. So as it is, I'm opposed to it.
Commissioner Kowal.
Thank you. I would also like to add my opposition to this. It's been shown time and again that this card check process enables unions to use coercion, intimidation, and deception to bully their way into workplaces. And I believe as we have the privacy of voting when we go to the polls or absentee ballot or whatever we do, that's our private vote. I think the same rights should be extended to employees. So I will be opposing this resolution.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the resolution, Commissioners Powell. Quarles.
Yes.
Taub.
No.
Wypert. Woodward.
Yes.
Zach. Gershenson. Hoffman. Jackson. Kowal.
No.
Kuhn.
No.
Long. Long? No, Long. Lubes?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, was that a yes?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, sounded like a pass. Markham?
Yes.
McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton? Miller?
Yes.
Nelson? Yes. And Powell? Yes. Thank you. And Long?
No.
Mr. Chair, you have 11 yeas, 7 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted. Commissioner Quarles.
Next resolution, the Board of Commissioners support for the House Bill 5229, revising the Municipal Partnership Act. I move the report, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Commissioner Quarles, seconded by Commissioner Zach. To accept the report, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The report is accepted. Moved by Commissioner Quarles, seconded by Commissioner Zach, in support of advancing the resolution. Any discussion? Commissioner Kowal.
Thank you. I have an amendment that I would like to propose by inserting the following language after the now therefore it be resolved. Excuse me. Be it further resolved that the Oakland County Board of Commissioners recommends that a 2/3 majority vote by those members present of the Board of Commissioners be required for the passage of any ballot questions that result from this legislation. This has the possibility to greatly impact people's taxes, property taxes, and I think we need to meet a higher level of standard of approval to put it on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kowal. Any discussion? Motion by is supported by Commissioner Weipert. Any discussion on the amendment? I'll speak to the amendment. I will not be supporting this amendment. This legislation is merely a mechanism, a tool that can be used to allow 2 or more local units of government coming together to solve problems. Should it evolve and be able to be a plan to improve regional transit, that's a conversation that this body can come together and work on. This amendment is not needed. Any other discussion? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the
Mr. Chairman, is this on the amendment?
On the
It's
amendment.
on the amendment.
On the amendment. Just what I was gonna say. On the amendment, Commissioners Quarles,
No.
Taub,
Yes.
Weipert, Woodward,
No on the amendment.
Zach. No. Gershenson.
No.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Jackson. Kowal.
Yes.
Sorry, Jackson? Thank you. Kuhn?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
No.
Markham? No. McGilvray?
No.
Middleton?
Yes.
Miller?
No.
Nelson? No. Powell? No. Mr. Chair, you have 7 yeas, 11 nays.
An insufficient number voting in the affirmative, the amendment fails. Any further, it brings us to the main motion in support of the resolution. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Oh, Commissioner Hoffman.
Just one comment. From what I understand, that this legislation would bypass or exclude the Headley Amendment from impacting this type of legislation. Therefore, I'm opposed to it. I mean, Headley was put into place for a reason. We should try to do what we can to limit taxes. And I don't think that would be good governance if this type of legislation passes.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the resolution.
On the resolution, Commissioners Taub,
No.
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 okay, if you don't speak in your mic, I can't hear you. Weipert?
No.
Woodward?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson?
Yes.
Hoffman?
No.
Jackson? Kowal? Kuhn?
No.
Long?
No.
Lubes?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
No.
Miller?
Yes.
Nelson? Powell? Quarles?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 11 yeas, 7 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted. Commissioner Quarles.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, the next miscellaneous resolution, County Executive Administration, creation of a Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, classification and position creation. I move the resolution, Mr. Chairman.
Resolution moved by, is there a report? No, it's not a report, it's just the resolution. So moved by Commissioner Quarles, seconded by Commissioner Jackson, to the creation of the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, classification and position creation. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Hoffman. And then
Could I
Commissioner
ask what the salary is for this position? I think I read it, I want to make sure I understand it. They had a salary posted for 2020, and then I think 2021 it was quite a bit higher. Am I understanding that correctly? What is the salary?
The salary in full year 2020 is $149.38.
149,000?
Yes.
Does that include benefits?
Yes, it does. Fringe benefits.
And what is it in 2021? 184,000?
Yes.
So we're gonna hire somebody in 2020 and pay him 149,000 plus benefits, and then next year, they, pardon? Okay, whatever, but the next 2021, it's gonna go up $35,000, wage and benefits. Is that, am I understanding that correctly?
I believe that this is for fiscal year 20, which started on October 1st. So we're
Oh,
already.
so it would not be a full year? So the
20 is not a
salary.
full year. Right, correct.
So basically, the salary is 100, and benefits 184,000, but we're partway through the fiscal year, correct?
Correct.
So this person, first of all, I question the need for this, and number two, this person will be making, I think, as much or more than a judge in Oakland County Circuit Court. Just saying.
Okay.
I'm not sure it's necessary.
Another
Any-
thing too,
Commissioner Quarles.
Thank you. This is not any additional funding that'd be added to our budget. This is the administration moving monies for positions that are not being filled. This is for the salary and how this will be paid. There are several full-time positions that are not being paid, and we do not have people in them now, and the funding will be taken from those positions. We are not adding any additional monies to our budget.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, well, Commissioner Hoffman will come back. Commissioner Jackson, Commissioner Kowal, and then we'll come back to Commissioner Hoffman. Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you, Chair. I will be voting yes in favor of this position creation with hopes and great expectation that it will increase our capacity to employ, serve, and protect all of the people in our county, people with different experiences and backgrounds, the cultural exploration and opportunities and activities to enhance our ability to be receptive to our diverse county population, ideas, as we interact with all of our citizens, and we want to create balanced services throughout our entire county. We know our country and county has become more diverse, and the need has increased for this. Equity, part of this person's position is the process of identifying and understanding historical and current barriers faced by marginalized populations and persons. Historically, our county has not embraced a need for this understanding. As a commissioner myself, personally, who represents a majority minority community, I can personally attest to seeing around the table less and less African Americans and minorities here at the county in leadership positions. This will not just be an opportunity to gain more entry-level positions, but access for all of our employees to ascend to higher ranking level governmental decision-making positions. I'm proud our county has made this step, which completes a first step of mine early this year to try to include this type of position within our budget. Our county executive administration is actually going to fund and implement this position directly under their guidance. I feel that this itself represents, our current administration does represent our most diverse executive administration in Oakland County history. And now our entire county may have a chance to follow this direction. So I am in favor of this position and very much a leader in this effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kowal, then Commissioner Hoffman, Commissioner Taub, and then Commissioner Hoffman.
I'd just like to point out that the first, recently, the Election Day being a holiday in November of even number years, that money, that was going to be funded by the, if you want to call it the arbitrage between the county budgeting for full employment but not having full employment. So that's already been dipped into once. Now we're doing it again. And I just want to point out that that is the longstanding practice that Oakland County has had, that the bonding agencies look very, very favorably upon. So I am not in favor of eroding this, at least not anymore. It is, if we want to truly keep the AAA bond rating, this is not the way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kowal. Commissioner Taub,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
then Commissioner Hoffman.
Historically, we've been a home rule county, and there's no one here, I don't believe, or maybe there are, but who doesn't, more than I, believes that we need to include everybody and we need to be inclusive. I agree with that 100%. However, in the past, we've left it up to the HR department, and I think, in my personal opinion, that April Lynch, pardon me, is totally able to handle this. If in fact, though, that this person, whoever it may be, is going to go out and tell all 61 of our communities who they have to hire, when they have to hire them, I can't support this, okay? I think each community has to take it upon themselves to do what is right, and I don't think it's up to us to dictate to communities, you have to hire 5 of these, 2 of these, 1 of those, and a blonde, okay? So, that is not what, I'm sorry, that is not what I have in mind. And I also think, quite frankly, that the salary is exorbitant, okay? Really exorbitant. We did have somebody years ago on staff in the health department who worked in this very same issue. And I know that person didn't earn $184,000 a year. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Hoffman. Oh, Shelley, you just unliked. Okay, you're good. All right. So I've got Commissioner Powell, Commissioner Quarles,
I'll pass.
Commissioner Markham, and Commissioner Jackson for a second time.
Here we go.
So Commissioner Powell.
I think that by us approving this today, this is a great thing for us as commissioners. Historically as well, because you all know I've been asking diversity questions since I sat in this seat. And last I knew, let me put these stats back on everybody's radar. 13% is the diversity count of 4,500 employees here. And I think that we do need a diversity person to bring more diversity to this county. So whatever that position is going to require, I think is needed just off those stats I just read to everybody. And that came from the former HR director's mouth. Those quotes I just sent, and I would love for my bipartisan individuals to go check what I just said. 13% in minority count of 4,500 employees here. So I think that position is very important for us by us moving forward and including and increasing our diversity here at this county. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Quarles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of the things I would truly suggest for those who haven't had an opportunity is to read the job description that was submitted by the Deputy County Exec. And nowhere in there it says it's going to dictate to municipalities on how they include their diversity. The concentration is on Oakland County. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Markham, and then Commissioner Jackson for a second time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this position is very important. I agree with the statistics Commissioner Powell has cited. I also would like to recognize that most of the top companies in Michigan, as well as across the nation, have instituted a position such as this in their top leadership to make sure that they are hiring in diverse ways, and we are actually a little bit behind without a policy like this. So this is a good step for us to take and to show that we are moving into 2020 and beyond as a welcoming, open, and diverse county. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Markham. Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you, Chair. I just really just want to express some of the comments coming from my fellow commissioner kind of illustrate the reason why we need this type of position here at the county. And looking at even the subcommittee meeting where this position was voted upon, comments were made about hair color. If we just take the time for a minute just to step back, just to look at really the situation that we're in, we are not really fully embracing the wholeness of our county by not really even taking time to understand the cultural traditions and the way people act and what people bring to work. I've had minorities and African Americans come to me directly and ask me why our policies seem to be the way they are. And there is a tone of a racist environment at this county that we can't ignore. We just can't ignore it. And this is one way and one of the best ways to address it. And piggybacking on Commissioner Markham, we're following the lead of certain public institutions like the U.S. Postal Service and Walled Lake and Huron Valley Schools, the need to just embrace this topic and ask why we're being represented the way we are. I just feel as though we have a chance. We have an administration that is kind to this type of person coming on who would be directly reporting to our county executive, not to HR. County Executive Deputy Lynch, she covers a lot of work in her position, and this is a special position that is needed nowadays just so we can address the need of our diverse county. We need to reflect the same diversity. And Commissioner Taub, I would love to have a private conversation with you about something that happened in my own family where my relative wanted to round up the NAACP to address it because of just the lack of not seeing people that look like us here at the county, even in a working position. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Taub.
I have no objection. I would vote for this if it was under HR, okay? I believe if we're going to change our culture at this county, it has to come with the people that we hire. So if April Lynch was in charge of this person or this person, and April does report to the county executive, I would absolutely support this. I don't think we need a separate position without having it attached to HR, because I think there will be a conflict sometime or other, and I think it belongs in HR. So that's what I have to say. And I also am very sorry that what's the word I'm trying to use, that it is felt in this county that we did not hire the best qualified or most qualified person for whatever job was there, regardless of their race, their religion, their ethnic background, or any other thing you want to throw in there, okay? I'm very sorry that happened. It's not me. But to put somebody in a separate position with that much money and have that person and HR not together, I don't like. And I know HR, I know April will do what's right, but I still think that person ought to be in the HR department, not a standalone person. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Zach.
So I just want to address this issue. First of all, I trust April Lynch, and she's the one that made the assessment to create this position as it stands. And this is more than just hiring employees. I intervened on a situation that was a problematic area about how we were treating one of our vendors and welcoming diverse vendors into our community this week. And it's more than just staffing. It's diversity and inclusion in everything that we do throughout Oakland County. And to have someone that's leading that so that we are including minority vendors, that we're servicing them in our one-stop shop, we're respectfully talking to them. These are our customers. These are the people we represent. So it's not only just our staff, it's how do we represent all of Oakland County with this framework. So I champion this idea. Diversity and inclusion is everything that we do and then some besides just staffing.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Jackson.
And real quickly, just one more comment. I want to just address the concerns and comments made toward the compensation for this position and the cost and the threat to our AAA rating. First of all, when you see people in a workplace and all of a sudden they leave because they don't have opportunity to ascend to higher levels of employment, there's a cost in retraining and rehiring and getting people to come here with the expertise that we need to keep our county at a world-class level. So the cost itself is built into hiring, retention, retainment, and accessibility for higher level employment and not losing those people and having to start all over again with new employees. So.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody who wants to speak on this topic that hasn't had an opportunity yet? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the resolution, Commissioners Weipert? Yes. Woodward?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson? Yes. Hoffman?
No.
Jackson?
Yes.
Kowal? Yes. Kuhn?
No.
Long? She leave? Okay. Lubes?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
No.
Miller?
Yes.
Nelson? Powell? Quarles?
Yes.
Taub?
No.
Mr. Chair, you have 13 yeas, 4 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted. Commissioner Quarles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next report is the appointment to various boards, commissions, and authorities. The Legislative Affairs and Government Operation Committee, having reviewed the vacancies for the following boards, make the following recommendations. The Agency on Aging, Ron Borges. Building Authority, Jamal Haig. Southeast Michigan Council of Government, SMCOG. Delegate is County Executive David Coulter, and his alternate is Sean Carson. I move the report, Mr. Chairman.
Move the appointments. Moved by Commissioner Quarles, seconded by Commissioner Lubes. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the appointments, Commissioners Woodward?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson? Yes. Hoffman?
Yes.
Jackson? Kowal? Yes. Kuhn?
Yes.
Kuhn?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Nelson? Powell? Quarles?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Weipert? Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the appointments are approved. Commissioner Quarles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution for the 52nd District Court, approval for the 52nd District Court Magistrate Courtney Marshall. I move the resolution, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Commissioner Quarles, seconded by Commissioner Weipert. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson?
Yes.
Hoffman?
Yes.
Jackson? Kowal? Kuhn?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Nelson? Powell? Quarles?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Whitebird? Woodward?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The resolution is adopted. Commissioner Quarles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The report for appointments to the Oakland County Community Health Network Authority. I move the report of the appointments. The appointments are secondary consumer, Patrick Kemp, a provider of mental health services, Rini Nami, general public, Eric Linderman, and Jonathan Lansman. I move the appointment reports.
Moved by Commissioner Quarles, seconded by Commissioner Lubes. Any discussion? Commissioner Taub.
Yes, I would like to substitute the name for Eric Lindeman. Am I permitted to do that? Okay.
Who?
Sydney Rubin.
You want to strike out Eric Lindemeyer and put in Sydney?
Yes.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Taub, seconded by Commissioner Hoffman. Any discussion? Commissioner Taub?
Yes, I want to know, I wanted it to be noted that Mr. Rubin was the choice of the committee until today, and then it was moved to reconsider him. He is a very valuable asset to that committee. He has great financial acumen. He's run multiple companies. There is no conflict, as was purported to be in his appointment. I think it would do us well to have someone reappointed who has the business ability. On the Community Mental Health Board, there is no separate finance committee. This is a $330 million budget, and most of the people they're wonderful people, they're good people, all of them, but they are primary or secondary consumers, including Mr. Lindeman. He applied for the general public, but he really is a consumer of mental health services. So I'm suggesting that we replace him and give him the opportunity to apply again in the proper category. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I would just want to speak to this question. I think Mr. Lindemeyer would be a added addition to this board. I think it's really important to have people who bring a very unique perspective. Given that this board is taken on because of state action, that I know there was some frustration in this county, but does handle substance abuse issues, and Mr. Lindemeyer brings a needed perspective on there. So I oppose this amendment and support the committee's recommendation. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call, Commissioner Nelson.
The amendment.
We're going to vote.
This is amendment.
On the amendment. Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the amendment, Commissioners Gershenson? Hoffman?
Yes.
Jackson? Kowal? Kuhn?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
No.
Markham? McGilvray?
No.
Middleton?
Yes.
Miller?
No.
Nelson?
No.
Powell? Quarles?
No.
Taub?
Yes.
Whitebird? Woodward?
No.
Zach?
No.
Mr. Chair, you have 7 yeas, 11 nays.
Sufficient number not voting in the affirmative, the amendment
Yeah,
fails.
voting yes
Which brings us to the main motion. So, what? As proposed, so, okay. Is there any discussion on the, any further discussion? Commissioner Nelson?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to abstain from voting due to a conflict of interest of one of the individuals that has been appointed.
Oh.
Recommended, I'm sorry.
Okay. Duly noted. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Clarification, what's the vote on?
We're voting on the appointments.
On the amendment?
On
No, we already voted on the
On the
amendment
whole-
failed. We're on the original amendment.
Appointments to Oakland County Community Network.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes. Commissioners Hoffman?
No.
Jackson? Kowal? Kuhn?
No.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes? Markham? McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
No.
Miller?
Trust us.
Yes, sorry.
Wilson's abstaining. Powell? Quarles?
Yes.
Taub?
I'm sorry. No.
Whitebert? Woodward?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 12 yeas, 6 nays.
The resolution is adopted. No, The resolution is adopted. Commissioner Quarles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next report is for the appointments of the Board of Commissioners Standing Committee memberships for 2020.
Commissioner Wiper. I thought I heard you say yes. I'm pretty sure he said yes. Okay, all right, we have to move on. Okay, I tried. So the appointments?
You want me to reconsider?
No.
The appointments for the standing committees.
No, just as it came out of committee. So Commissioner Quarles moves the appointments for standing committees, seconded by Commissioner Miller. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Excuse me, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the appointments of the standing committees, Commissioners Jackson? Kowal? Kuhn?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes? Markham?
Yes.
McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Nelson? Powell? Quarles?
Yes.
Taub?
No.
Whitebert? Woodward?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson?
Yes.
Hoffman? Lubes? On the appointments of the standing committees.
Standing committees.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so, Mr. Chair, you have 17 yeas, 1 nay.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted. Commissioner Quarles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to present the report of appointments to the Parks and Recreation Committee. Today we'll be voting on the recommendation for the commissioner from the minority party, which is Christine Long, and the commissioner from the majority party, which is Commissioner Gary McCreary.
Moved by Commissioner Quarles, seconded by Commissioner McGilvray. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Okay, on the Parks and Rec appointments, Commissioners Kowal? Kuhn?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Nelson, Powell, Quarles,
Yes.
Taub,
Yes.
Weipert, Woodward,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson, Hoffman, Jackson. Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the are confirmed. Commissioner Quarles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I present the report for the appointments to the jury board. The appointments are Daniel Quick and Kimberly Kitchen-Reeves.
Moved by Commissioner Quarles, seconded by Commissioner Jackson. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the jury board, Commissioners Kuhn,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Lubes, Markham, McGilvray,
Yes.
Middleton, Miller,
Yes.
Nelson, Powell, Quarles,
Yes.
Taub,
Yes.
Weipert, Woodward,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Gershenson, Hoffman,
Yes.
Jackson, Kowal. Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the jury board appointments to the jury board are confirmed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Quarles. Moves us on to reports of standing special committees. There are none. Special order of business. Commissioner Taub, do you wish to
I'd like to postpone, thank you.
postpone to give notice for the next meeting? Brings us to unfinished business. Next up is new and miscellaneous business. Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Chair. Miscellaneous resolution adopting a responsible bidder, contractor, and best value bidder evaluation standards for the construction projects policy. Request to refer to economic growth infrastructure.
Have be referred without objection.
Thank you.
Good
Commissioner
afternoon or good evening. I'd like to request suspension of the board rules for immediate consideration under new business regarding honoring the 50th anniversary of the Oakland County Board of Commissioners.
Motion to suspend the rules, moved by Gershenson, seconded by Hoffman. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The rules are suspended. Moved by Commissioner Gershenson to approve the resolution, seconded by Commissioner Hoffman. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the 50th anniversary of the Board of Commissioners, resolution, Commissioners Long,
Yes.
Lubes, Markham, McGilvray,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Miller, Nelson, Powell, Quarles, Taub,
Yes.
Weipert,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Zach, Gershenson,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Jackson, Kowal, Kuhn, Quarles did not come back. Okay, Mr. Chair, you have 17 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted. Commissioner Gershenson.
I'd like to request suspension of the board rules for immediate consideration under new business for the reauthorization of the list of official depositories and creation of an ad hoc committee on investment of public funds.
Motion to suspend the rules, seconded by Commissioner Taub, by Gershenson, seconded by Taub. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The rules are suspended. Moved by Commissioner Gershenson, seconded by Commissioner Taub to adopt the resolution. Any discussion? Commissioner Hoffman?
Treasurer asked us if we could send this to committee. Pardon? Okay, they're forming a committee.
Forming the committee.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the
Right. This is the resolution the resolution reauthorizing the list of official depositories and creation of ad hoc committee and investment of public funds. It is a Board of Commissioner responsibility to approve those depositories as well as set the conditions for which those proportions in which deposits are put into those firms. This will set up a committee structure that will evaluate that, make recommendations, and the board will make recommendations moving forward.
Okay, so this
Right,
resolution is
Commissioner Powell.
only to create and form a committee to look into further investigating that whole process that you just talked about? The
It-
depository amounts, the deposit process, that's what this?
It defines the process in which the board will approve depositories and set the proportions in which money is deposited into those depositories.
Mr. Chair, it is our duty to do that. We're supposed to be doing that. I don't know if we've been doing it in the past, this year or several years, I don't recall, but we are supposed to approve the bank, savings and loans, Joe's Bar and Grill, you know, wherever the money goes.
Not Joe's Bars and
Not
Grill.
Joe's Bar and Grill, I agree. But that's our job. So all we're doing is,
Create an ad hoc committee.
And we'll have an ad hoc committee that will bring forth a recommendation in January for this board to determine what depositories that we will use and set the guidance and policy of how much money put into them. Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for clarification, did we discuss this during caucus?
Yes.
We did?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't recall either.
It was in caucus. Okay, Madam Clerk, call up. Commissioner Zach.
Is there a time sensitivity to doing this?
In order to have the board approve in January, we need to take action today.
Okay, thank you.
What? So according to our calendar, when is the time for the board gonna be able to form? To advise us, like, what is that timetable like?
The committee will be coming into January, making a recommendation to the full board for consideration at our January board meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the resolution, Commissioners Lubes?
Yes.
Markham? McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Miller? Nelson? Powell?
Pass.
Quarles? Taub?
yes.
Wypert? Woodward?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gershenson? Hoffman?
Yes.
Jackson? Kowal? Kuhn? Long?
Yes.
That was a yeah? Okay, sorry. And Powell?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays.
And I mean, per the resolution to appoint the ad hoc committee, I'm going to appoint Commissioner Markham as Vice Chair of Finance, myself, and Commissioner Gingell to serve on the committee. Without objection. Wait, appoint without objection. Commissioner Wypert? And neither of them are here, so a member of the minority party, Commissioner Spiz? Commissioner Spiz, then. Commissioner Markham, myself, and Commissioner Spiz.
Okay.
Appointed without objection. Okay. Commissioner Taub.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On behalf of Commissioner Lubes, Commissioner McGilvray, Commissioner Kowal, Commissioner Kokendorfer, Commissioner Long, Commissioner Hoffman, Commissioner Middleton, and myself, I would like to introduce a resolution to support the reform the road funding formula of Public Act 51 of 1951, and this just warms my heart, Mr. Chairman, because I've been thinking about this for eons. And I'd like to refer this to the Legislative Affairs and Governmental Operations Committee.
Referred without objection, Commissioner. Commissioner Kuhn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move the miscellaneous resolution in support of amending the Social Security Act, Section 1905AA, also known as the Medicaid Inmate Exclusion Policy, on behalf of Gary McGilvray, Robert Hoffman, Shelley Taub, Eileen Kowal, Kristen Nelson, Gwen Markham, Marcia Gershenson. Oh my God, I can't read all these signatures. But in any case,
All
there's a
your
number of
friends.
others, and ask that it be referred to public safety.
Referred without objection.
Thank you, sir.
Any further business at 2-something o'clock on a Thursday, December 12th of 2019? Seeing none, I want to wish everyone a very happy holiday, unless we want to have a special meeting beforehand. it's been, been a remarkable year, and to all of your families, and it's bred good cheer, and enjoy each other, remind everyone what this season of reflection is about. I look forward to seeing everyone at the top of the year at our regularly scheduled meeting, January 22nd, 2020 at 7 p.m. or at Call of the Chair.